In a universe where the stars are battlefields and the fate of civilizations depends on impossible choices, a story emerges that defies all the laws of the cosmos. A human scarred by war and an alien princess of pure light find themselves in the middle of a galactic conflict that threatens to destroy both worlds. What happens when two souls destined to be enemies discover that their connection is more powerful than any weapon? What would you do if saving the universe meant challenging everything you thought possible? Legacy of the Stars, a story of forbidden love, begins now. The human fighter's ship, Red Phoenix, piloted by Captain Marcus Kane, was sailing through the remains of an ancient interstellar battle. His mission was simple: recover abandoned alien technology before it fell into enemy hands. But what he found was something he could never have imagined. Amidst the floating debris, an ethereal figure emerged from the darkness. It was a woman, but unlike any Marcus had ever seen before. Her skin glowed with a pale blue radiance. Her eyes seemed to contain entire galaxies, and her hair flowed as if it were made of pure energy. She was trapped inside an alien crystal capsule, wounded and vulnerable. "Who are you?" Marcus asked as he tried to open the capsule. "I am Lyra Valen," she replied weakly, "Princess of the Illyrians, guardians of the stellar singularity." Marcus knew that the Illyrians were a legendary race, feared and revered in equal measure. They were said to manipulate the fabric of space-time with but a thought, and had sworn to exterminate any human who dared cross their borders. Yet here he was, saving one of their own. When he finally managed to free her, Lyra collapsed in his arms. Despite her weakness, there was an immense strength in her presence, a mix of fragility and power that left Marcus baffled. "You shouldn't have saved me," Lyra muttered as she slowly regained consciousness. "We're linked now, and that will put us both in danger." As Marcus carried Lyra aboard his ship, he began to understand the magnitude of what he had done. The Illyrians were not only an advanced race, they were considered gods by many civilizations. And to them, humans were little more than invading pests that threatened the balance of the universe. "My people believe that humans are destroyers," Lyra explained as Marcus treated her wounds. "They believe that their unbridled ambition will lead to the collapse of all dimensions. But not all humans are the same," Marcus argued. "We are struggling to survive, to find our place in this vast cosmos." Lyra looked at him with a mixture of curiosity and pain. "Perhaps you are right, but my father, King Illyrian, will never understand. To him, the only solution is your total annihilation." As the days passed, Marcus and Lyra began to share stories about their worlds. He told her about Earth, how humanity had fought extinction and reached for the stars. She showed him visions of her realm, a place where time and space flowed like living rivers, and where every decision echoed across multiple realities. "It's beautiful," Marcus admitted as he watched the images projected through Lyra's mind, "but also fragile. I understand why your people want to protect it. And I understand why yours wants to expand," Lyra replied. "But that doesn't change the fact that our worlds cannot coexist." Yet something deeper was beginning to emerge between them. Every conversation, every shared glance, made the barriers between their races seem less insurmountable. The momentary peace ended abruptly when an Illyrian fleet appeared on the horizon. Lyra knew immediately that her rescue had been detected. "You must leave," she said urgently. "If my father finds out I'm with a human." "I won't leave you," Marcus replied firmly. "Not after everything we've shared." The Illyrian fleet opened fire, and Marcus had to make a quick decision. He activated the Red Phoenix's quantum engines and escaped into a region of space known as the Dead Zone, an area where not even the Illyrian could track them. "You have sacrificed your home for me," Lyra said as they watched the fleet disappear into the distance. "It's not a sacrifice if I think it's worth it," Marcus replied. "And you are worth it." This moment marked a shift in their relationship. They were no longer simply a human and an alien forced to coexist. They were allies, companions, and perhaps something more. While hiding in the Dead Zone, Lyra revealed a secret that would change everything. The Illyrians weren't simply protecting their realm. They were guarding a stellar singularity, a convergence point where multiple dimensions met. If this singularity were to be disrupted or destroyed, the dimensional collapse would be catastrophic. But there is something else, Lyra continued. There is a prophecy. It says that a human and an Illyrian will unite to face a threat greater than any of our wars. Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. You think it's us? I don't know, Lyra admitted. But what I do know is that my father will never accept this. To him, any connection with a human is a betrayal. One quiet night, as they stargazed from the ship's observation dome, the tension between them reached a fever pitch. Marcus took Lyra's hand, feeling the warmth of her life energy. It doesn't matter what our races say, Marcus said softly. What I feel for you is real. Lyra looked at him with tears in her eyes. You know this will destroy us both. Then so be it, Marcus replied before kissing her. It was a moment of absolute purity, where all the barriers between their worlds seemed to melt away. Their idyll was interrupted when they detected an anomaly in nearby space. A massive creature, made of pure, dark matter, emerged from nowhere. Lyra immediately recognized it for what it was, a dimensional devourer, an entity that consumed entire realities. This is what the prophecy foretold, Lyra said in horror. The Devourers have awakened. Marcus and Lyra soon discovered that the Devourers had been manipulating both sides for centuries, exacerbating the conflict between humans and Illyrian to weaken their defenses. We have to stop this together, Marcus declared, or neither of our worlds will survive. The dark creature that emerged in the dead zone wasn't just a local threat. It was the first sign of something much larger. Marcus and Lyra watched as the entity began to consume fragments of space-time, leaving behind an absolute void. This is just the beginning, Lyra said, her voice shaking. The Devourers are like dimensional pests. If we don't stop them now, they will soon multiply. Marcus activated the ship's scanning systems, but the data was incomprehensible. The creatures seemed to exist simultaneously in multiple planes of reality. We need to warn our races, Marcus said as he prepared the coordinates for a quantum leap. If humans and the Illyrians don't work together, we'll all be lost. Lyra nodded, though she knew that convincing her father would be nearly impossible. My father will see this as a betrayal. But if we don't try, it's all over. The journey to the Illyrian realm was tense. Meanwhile, Marcus learned more about the stellar singularity and how it worked. Lyra explained to him that the singularity was not only a dimensional convergence point, but also a source of vital energy for the entire cosmos. If the Devourers managed to access it, they could collapse all known realities. Then we have to seal her, Marcus concluded, even if it means sacrificing something important. We cannot seal her without paying a price, Lyra replied grimly. And that price might be too high. When they arrived in the Illyrian realm, they were greeted by a massive fleet of alien ships. King Illyrian, Lyra's father, was waiting for them in his dimensional palace, a place where time seemed to flow in multiple directions simultaneously. How dare you bring a human here? The king roared when he saw Marcus. You know well that his presence pollutes our dimension. Dad, listen to me, Lyra pleaded. Humans are not our true enemies. The Devourers are awakening, and if we don't act now, we'll all be lost. The king shook his head. Your connection with this human has already weakened our singularity. How can I trust you? Marcus stepped forward. Your Majesty, I understand your distrust, but if we don't work together, there will be no kingdom to protect. The Devourers do not discriminate between races. King Illyrian meditated for what seemed like hours before speaking. I will give you a chance, but if you fail, you will both pay the price. With the king's permission, Marcus and Lyra began working on a strategy to combat the Devourers. They convened representatives of the Human Federation and Illyrian leaders for a secret summit in orbit around the singularity. This is foolish, one of the human generals protested. How can we trust them after centuries of conflict? Because this time we're not fighting each other, Marcus replied. We're fighting for the survival of all that exists. Lyra presented a bold plan. using human technology combined with Illyrian dimensional manipulation to create a containment field around the singularity. However, she admitted that someone would have to remain within the field to keep it stable. That someone is me, Lyra said with determination. It is my duty as a princess. Marcus felt a stab of pain. I'm not going to let you do this alone. While preparing the containment device, Marcus and Lyra had their first serious fight. He insisted on accompanying her, arguing that his fate was tied to hers. She, however, feared that his presence would jeopardize the mission. You can't save me from everything, Lyra said with tears in her eyes. Sometimes sacrifice is necessary. But you don't have to do it alone, Marcus replied. We're stronger together. Eventually, they agreed that Marcus would remain off the field, leading the combined forces against the Devourers, while Lyra controlled the core of the singularity from within. The first wave of Devourers arrived while the device was still incomplete. Marcus led a mixed fleet of human and Illyrian ships in an epic battle to defend the singularity. Fire at will, Marcus shouted as the ships launched pulses of pure energy at the dark creatures. Though the Devourers were difficult to damage, the combined weapons of both races began to take effect. Inside the Singularity's sanctuary, Lyra channeled all of her energy into stabilizing the containment field. She could feel her body beginning to fuse with the dimensional energy. Hold on a little longer, Marcus muttered as he watched from his ship. We're getting there. As the battle continued, it became clear that the containment field would not be enough. Lyra made a devastating discovery. In order to permanently seal the singularity, she would have to completely merge with it, losing her physical form forever. I can't ask you to do this, Marcus said when she revealed the plan to him. You have to let him do it, Lyra replied. It's the only way to save both worlds. That night, they shared what they believed would be their last moment together. Under the starlight flickering across the battlefield, Marcus held her hand one last time. I love you, he said, his words laden with emotion. And I love you, Lyra replied. Our love will be the spark that lights the way to a better future. As the Devourers launched their final attack, Lyra entered the core of the singularity. Marcus led a desperate assault to distract the creatures while she completed the ritual. Now, Lyra, Marcus shouted as the allied ships formed a protective barrier around the singularity. Lyra closed her eyes and released all her energy. The singularity glowed with intense light, expanding and then contracting until it became a stable point. The Devourers were repelled, unable to withstand the new dimensional configuration. When it was all over, Lyra was gone. Marcus fell to his knees, overwhelmed by the loss. But then, something extraordinary happened. Lyra's voice echoed in Marcus's mind, soft but clear. I'm still here, he said. I've changed, but I'm still a part of you. A part of everything. Marcus looked up at the singularity, now glowing with a pale blue sheen. He knew that Lyra had not disappeared entirely. She had become something greater, something eternal. The victory over the Devourers forever changed the relationship between humans and Illyrian. Inspired by Lyra's sacrifice and Marcus' bravery, the two races signed a historic treaty of peace and cooperation. Lyra showed us that love can overcome even the greatest divisions, Marcus said during the signing ceremony. Let's honor her sacrifice by building a future together. King Illyrian, deeply affected by the loss of his daughter, recognized Marcus's courage and named him an honorary ambassador of the Illyrian kingdom. Years later, Marcus dedicated his life to promoting peace between humans and Illyrian. He founded an interdimensional academy where young people of both races learned to work together. At the heart of the academy, a monument was placed dedicated to Lyra, a statue made of crystal that reflected the light of the stars. Marcus visited the monument every night, feeling her presence in every glow. One day, while looking at the stars from the dome of the academy, Marcus heard Lyra's voice again. The universe is full of possibilities, she said. Keep dreaming, keep fighting. Together, we create something beautiful. Marcus smiled, knowing that their love transcended even death. It was an echo that would resonate through the stars forever. The story of Marcus and Lyra became legend, told across thousands of worlds and dimensions. Their sacrifice inspired future generations to seek peace and mutual understanding. Love has no boundaries, the Illyrian elders said, not even those of space and time. Over time, humans and Illyrians developed technologies that combined their unique abilities. Mixed colonies flourished on previously inhospitable planets, and the universe began to heal from centuries of conflict. Marcus, now an old man, looked to the horizon as a new generation of leaders took over. "We did the right thing," he murmured. "Lyra would be proud." On his last day, Marcus returned to Lyra's monument. He looked up at the stars and felt a deep calm. "I knew you'd come back," Lyra's voice said in her mind. "Always," Marcus replied before closing his eyes for the last time. His spirit soared toward the stars, joining Lyra in eternity. Together, they would continue to guide those seeking light in the darkness. Thank you for joining us on this epic tale of interstellar love and overcoming. If you enjoyed this romantic and action-packed journey, don't forget to give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your support helps us continue to bring you stories that connect hearts beyond the stars. See you on the next cosmic adventure.